What's up, True Crime World? You're here with Luminol on the Wall. I'm Bevy.
And I'm Becky.
Yeah, you are.
Yes, I am Becky.
So, before we really get into this case, we have to tell you guys what just happened. Okay, number
Oh,
one, I have
yeah.
a little bit of a fussy baby going on right now. So, he's a little bit, well, he's beside me, and we'll see how long I last. So, I might just dip out in the middle of this. But then to top it all off, I'm like trying to figure out my setup at home here. And Becky's like, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. And I have these headphones on, whatever. And I'm like, I don't know what happened. Like, it's the exact same as last time. How did it change? All this shit. And yeah, then I figure out, like, I didn't even plug in my microphone.
It
Oh.
probably took us like 20 minutes, though.
Yeah, that's embarrassing as hell.
I know. It's not like we've done this like 108 times.
I blame it on the baby, the mummy brain. I have to.
Yes, you have
Because
to.
what other excuse do I have?
None.
Seriously.
You have none. Like the most important thing in podcasting, the microphone.
Yeah. So we have some news. Or you do.
I do.
Yeah, you do. Tell everyone about your recent purchase, Rebecca.
Oh, shit. Yeah. I bought a car.
Hell yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Okay, if you guys don't know, Becky has not had her like a car for quite a while.
No,
Like she's
have had
had
a
one
car.
car.
Yeah, we're a one car household. Did the
Yes.
classic over COVID. We only need one car. I'm going to work from home now. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
That was a mistake.
Yeah, it damn near killed you. You had no freedom.
I know, because Jamie does use a car for work.
Mm-hmm.
So it made my life really challenging. Planning extraordinaire over here, though. But now I don't have to.
That's great.
Yeah. And you know what? It's a standard, so I'm pretty pumped.
Oh, I didn't
Uh,
know that, Becky. It's a
oh, I
standard.
didn't tell you? Yeah.
Oh
I
my
mean, it makes
God.
it harder to drink coffee and
But
whatnot
you
while you're
can go
driving.
places like at a whim.
Yeah, that obviously trumps the minimal coffee drinking while driving.
Yeah, seriously.
Uh,
Like, who
yes.
cares?
Who cares? Now I can see Bevy so often.
I'll have to drive your standard. I haven't driven one in so long since I owned the Pontiac. I'm good at driving a standard. I drove it for years, Becky. Like, chill out, okay?
All
I don't think
right.
we've told every one of our listeners, like, my history of driving.
No, and like, did
Because,
mom
like,
or dad teach you how to drive a standard? Standard.
literally, Becky, I think dad took me one time and then I was like, can I take the Pontiac to work? And he was like, sure. I had
Go for
driven a
it.
standard once. And like, I have to say, I had some confidence to just
Right.
like go out and do that.
Yeah.
But I really don't know why I did that. I got in an accident literally
Yeah.
that exact time I drove it because it was the
Yeah.
middle of winter. Roads were sheer ice. One, those tires were garbage, but two, I like went 40 around a corner
I don't
thinking
even
that I was going slow enough.
like keep in mind it's not like a curve in a road. It's like a 90-degree corner, like it's at a red light or a stoplight.
Yeah,
Like
but I just like didn't have experience driving, you know? Like I had no idea the tires would lock on me and I'd shoot across the intersection and
smash
go
into
up on a
someone's
curb
car.
and smash into someone's front end. Anyways, that was the beginning of a long history of accidents in my driving career.
Yeah, like so many. Also ignore that part. That
Yeah.
was Bev's phone that she never turns off apparently.
Oopsies.
Oopsie.
But yeah, so anyways, I know we always harsh on you for being kind of like having bad grades and being kind of dumb with your spelling. But yeah, I was a terrible driver for a long time and I'm still not quite the best. I'm a slightly distracted driver.
I
Slightly.
have a lot more confidence when I'm in the car with you. But there are moments where I'm like trying to brake in the passenger seat and like I'm holding on to the door handle trying not to like scare you because I'm so scared.
Yeah, but you have like you're afraid also. You're like you're the most annoying passenger, I have to say. You have to like come to a quick stop. Like it doesn't matter. You have to react, or like someone brakes and then you have to react to them braking in front of you. And Becky's like immediately like tensed up, grabbing the sides of your car. Like you got in a, like were in a accident when you were young. Yeah, yes. And it's
scary. My friend's mom rear-ended someone. And I kid you, I would have complete like panic attacks. Well, maybe not real panic attacks, but like meltdowns in the car when mom would be driving.
Yeah.
When I was little. It was just like, I was so scared. It's so bad. But you know what? Honestly, I just like a safe amount of following distance, and I'm usually pretty calm and collected. It's when people start getting outrageous. Yeah. So I don't know that I'm the problem, really.
I think it's like 70-30 where I'm more of the problem.
On the other drivers, yeah. Like you're the problem.
And the other drivers. Yeah, totally. I mean, my history tells me that I am, so.
Right.
Anyways, Becky, we are on a time crunch because I don't know how long I have with Coulson.
That's true. Let's get going. So if you hear him like cooing or a little meh, 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 he's okay, but if it gets too severe, obviously Bev will leave. So
yeah.
Hopefully not.
Yeah.
Well, with all that being said, let's get into the case, Bev.
Let's do it.
Now, this case is super interesting, a little infuriating, and it definitely exposes some flaws in Australia's judicial system, and it highlights how law enforcement views stalking. And as we know, especially in the true crime community, how dangerous stalking can be and how many places don't view it and treat it as a serious offense until it's oftentimes too late.
Yes.
You know?
Totally.
So, as I said, Australia, we're going to Melbourne. Now, based on what Wikipedia says, Melbourne is a city known for its buzzing laneways, cafe culture, and vibrant street life. And it ultimately seems like a pretty amazing place to live. And for a young woman named Celeste Manno, it sure was. Now, she was born on November 22nd, 1996. Her parents' names are Aggie and Tony. Celeste also had an older half-brother named Jaden. And when Celeste turned 4.5, she got the privilege of being a big sister when her brother Alessandro was born. And as we know, being an older sister, quite the privilege, Bevy, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Oh my God, that's kind of cool. I was thinking, Becky, you're the big sister, but I'm like, no, we're both big sisters.
We both know the feeling.
Yeah, we do.
Now, Celeste, right from the womb, was super playful and loving. And as she grew up, her family was so important to her. She was super kind, and she was very inclusive. She was the girl that would invite someone to come hang out with her if they seemed left out.
Love those girls, man.
Oh, we've all been at the hands of them.
I've relied on some nice girls like that in times of awkward social situations. My God.
God bless them.
God bless them.
Now, you see, Bev, Celeste wanted to make a difference in the world. She wanted to help people, so she decided to study psychology and criminology at the Royal Melbourne Institute of Technology. Celeste was really smart, and her end goal was to become a psychologist. Now, everyone at school and around her knew that she just had a special energy about her. She had a zest for life, and she also had the ability to find joy in small everyday moments, which I think is kind of rare.
I agree. Yeah. I actually really appreciate when people are positive and do find joy in those moments, in like small everyday moments. I think it is one of the keys to happiness, to be honest. Because, you know, I was watching this show called Safe House. It's a movie. And it has like Denzel Washington in it and Ryan Reynolds. And that is besides the point. But if you want to watch it, those are the actors. But in one scene of the movie, one gentleman was like talking about how as you get older, you start to realize like like, because life slows down and you start to realize like what is important, and it's like those little moments throughout your day or your year that are like kind of what make life meaningful, like family, you know, moments with them, hugs. Like, I made that shit up, but you know what I mean.
Like hugs. Yeah. They call them glimmers.
Glimmers. That's what you were talking about, Bex.
Yeah. Like
glimmers.
just little things that just bring ultimate joy, and they're not, you know, like how much money you make, what vacation you're on. It's like watching the most beautiful sunset or walking your dog and just being like, I'm so in love and happy.
Yeah, feeling a warm breeze on your face while taking a deep breath and just like enjoying the world around you, you know?
Exactly. So that's exactly what Celeste was like. So I almost wish I knew her. But I've also never been to Australia, so that wouldn't have ever been possible. But anyways, back in 2019, Celeste was 23 years old. She was living at home with her mom and dad and brother, and she was also enrolled in her final honors year at school. She had been working at a call center company. Wow, that sounded weird. She'd been working at a call center. The company's name was Serco Group. She told her family she had gotten this job to gain real-world experience. And in June of 2019, Celeste was working a normal shift, and by this time, she had worked her way up to team lead position. And because of that, she was asked to escort a fired employee out of the building, which I feel like that would be the most awkward walk ever.
Yeah, I guess it just depends on your personality. Because if you don't like conflict and weird situations like that, it might be awkward. But if you thrive off of that shit, you might be like, yeah, get the fuck out.
You suck. You're the worst employee ever. Get out.
Let me kick you in the ass on the way out.
That's right. To be honest, if it was me, I'd be like, so I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And then I just slowly walk backwards and be like, okay, bye.
Bye.
Just
I'd
keep
be like,
waving.
Oh, I'm really sorry this happened.
Oh, God.
I hope everything works out for you, you know. Ugh.
Yeah, exactly.
Bye.
Just awkward but nice.
Suck. Yeah, exactly. Awkward but nice.
Exactly. And, you know, Celeste, not that she was awkward like that, but she was really kind to this gentleman who got fired. And this man, his name was Luis Seco. And he had worked at Serco just a little over a year, and he was fired because he just wasn't meeting the company's standards, which is a good reason to get fired. And at this point, Celeste had never actually met Luis. This was their first interaction. And as they approached the exit, Celeste had so much compassion for Luis' circumstances, and she reached out her hand to shake his and wished him well. But to her surprise, Luis stepped in and gave her a kiss on the cheek. So he got up close and personal. He was in her bubble. And it wasn't like a classy kiss on the cheek. You know how like the Europeans give a little like kiss on the cheek? It was like a full-on smooch.
Awkward.
So this made Celeste feel very uncomfortable. But she really didn't want to make any waves, so she kept her composure and just like sent him on his way and got out of there as quickly as she could. And when she got home, she told her mom, Aggie, what had happened and just how creepy it was, and again, how uncomfortable it made her feel. Her mom thought maybe she was being a tad dramatic and thought, oh, he probably just had a crush on her and decided to shoot his shot before he would never see her again.
Yeah, okay, you know what? And that's maybe fair to think, but gosh darn, I just think it's like so messed up that any person thinks they can invade your personal space without asking, crush or not.
Oh,
you know?
100%.
Like, damn. Now we have this guy who obviously doesn't know boundaries and is getting fired. He seems like a sketchball, Becky.
Oh, you are correct, Bev, because he is a sketchball. And so after this incident, they really didn't think too much about it because they assumed Celeste was never going to see him again. But about a week later, Celeste received an Instagram message from Luis. He was professing his love for her And Celeste tried to respond to him in the kindest, most platonic way by saying, "Hi, Louis, those are really sweet words, and I appreciate you saying all of that to me. I'm a bit surprised to read this all as it's new to me. As much as I appreciate this, I only feel in a professional way towards you, and I wish you all of the best in your new job and journey." You know, that
she's just too nice.
I know. It's like the nicest way of like, leave me the F alone. Now, most people would get the hint and leave her alone, but not Louis. He had ended up sending her over 140 messages over Instagram, and the majority of them were love notes, proclaiming his love for her and that he couldn't function without her. He also said he couldn't hold a job because of how much he loved her, which is crazy, right? Like, you probably should be able to hold a job
too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this is nuts.
It's too much. And Celeste tried to ignore him, but that didn't work. The messages just kept coming. And then she tried to be a bit more blunt, telling him she wasn't interested, and the messages made her uncomfortable. And she wished to be left alone. But when ignoring him and pleading with him didn't work, she felt that she had no choice but to block him. Because that's the natural next step, right?
But for the first one.
Yeah, it didn't deter him. Louis, it seemed just a small speed bump for him. And he opened a new account and messaged her from there.
Okay, so now he's found her on another Instagram. Like, he's used another Instagram to find her.
Exactly. And the same obsessive messages are sent to her. Now, there are so many messages, but only some examples have been released to the public, and this is one of them. He said, "I'm so infatuated with you that it's now become unhealthy. I know my words don't help me. I'm sorry for coming on strong, Celeste. I'm just another rival for your affection. I'm truly sorry for making you feel uncomfortable. I just really wanted to speak with you, and I honestly thought you were ignoring me." Well, I mean, she was. He then goes on to say, "My impression of you has changed. You're no different to the majority of women. I'll remember you and this lesson for all life, and I will devote every ounce of energy I have to climbing up and providing to the world that I am somebody."
Proving to the world that I am somebody.
I said providing, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
My bad. Proving to the world that I am somebody. That is my promise to you and my final contact with you.
Oh my gosh. Honestly, it just kind of freaks me out when he said, you're just like all women. Because I think it implies that he has like a weird hate on for women. Like something pathological almost. Like, who knows? Maybe he had a bad relationship with his mother and he's like, "You're just like every woman in my life." It almost feels like there's potential hatred that could go towards Celeste now.
It does seem like that, right? Because it's not just like, woe is me message.
Yeah.
It's a little extra behind it.
Yeah, exactly.
So at this point, Celeste is probably like thinking, finally, he's getting the hint. He's not going to contact me anymore. But despite what he said, this was not his final message. In fact, they became more frequent.
Yeah, now he's like emotional. He's been rejected, Becky. Like, oof.
I know. It's like revved up.
Yeah.
Now, clearly being kind and diplomatic was not getting Celeste's point across. Her mother, Aggie, tried to convince her to be more assertive and blunt. Aggie was so angry that Louis was bombarding her daughter that she even messaged him to leave her daughter alone. But it didn't change anything. So from July to December of 2019, the family was hoping he would just eventually give up. But in December, his messages started to change, and he became more aggressive. He became sexually explicit, and all of this was still very unwelcomed. When Aggie noticed the tone shift, she became really worried for her daughter's safety, and she told Celeste that she needed to go to the police and get some help. they need to make a report about what's been going on. Now, Celeste really didn't want to do this. She had compassion for Louis and was worried how this may affect him and that he may hurt himself. And she didn't want to be the reason.
Oh, she's just so naive. It's so unfortunate. And maybe this is our experience in just like doing true crime podcasts and like knowing what the potential outcome of this could all be. But it just sucks because it's like your compassion could get you really hurt in this instance, because this isn't a level-headed guy who's just like been rejected and like having a hard time. Like
He's
a
obsessive
little different
and
than
weird.
that, right? Yeah,
sure.
and like that can lead to, obviously, as we know, bad things. So, ugh, it just makes me sad to hear that.
I know. However, I kind of feel like I can relate. Not that I've had this level of stalking, but just because I was a really like quiet, shy, young adult myself. And, if someone wronged me or did anything to hurt my feelings, I often wouldn't speak up for myself. And I really did everything in my power to not make waves, whether it was at my job, with my friends, like anything, right?
Yeah.
And so I think I can kind of understand where she's coming from. Like, you'd rather just kind of ignore it and leave it be. But in this circumstance, like, you have to, like you said, protect yourself.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate.
And you know what? Even though Celeste was nervous to do that, her mom was the voice of reason because she convinced Celeste to make a report. And 6 months after it all began, they went to the Mernda police station and reported Louis. The officers there told them to just ignore him. But as we know, Celeste had been doing that already, and so they told the officers. But the officers didn't really seem to take this seriously, and they brushed off and told them that this was the nature of social media, and if she didn't like it, she should stay off of there.
Oh my God, that's
I
awful. That's
They even
so disgusting.
I know. And they even went as far and told them that no crime was committed. The officers didn't even take down Louis' name, not even just to make a record of his poor behavior. And apparently didn't think there was anything to be worried about.
That's shocking, Becky.
I know.
I mean, I don't know. I think that's lame that you can just say, hey, someone's stalking me online and saying sexually explicit things to me, and I've told them I don't want their contact, and they're going out of their way to contact me regardless. Like, and just to say that's the nature of social media, like, no, it's not. You're dealing with someone who has issues. Like, that's not the nature of social media at all. I'm sorry. It makes people that have those issues like avenue to kind of express their shit, like messaging people nonstop and like contacting them through numerous different like outlets and stuff. But it doesn't mean that that's what social media is, and doesn't mean that that's normal by any means. So lame.
It is lame. And what I think is so sad about this is we've seen this so many times where there seems to be a really nonchalant attitude from the police when it comes to stalking.
Yeah.
And it's like, if police don't even grasp how dangerous this can be, like, what are the victims supposed to do? They're supposed to be there to help them, and they're not.
Yeah. And basically stalking is like, I'm sure the people that do stalk, they claim to feel like terrorized, like they don't feel comfortable anywhere they go, in any place that they go. It's like, that's just like, I don't know. That's like scary as hell.
For sure. Now, what's particularly interesting is at the time, Australia already had something in place for stalking. And it was part of the criminal code, and this act was pretty forward-thinking, making it an offense to menace, harass, or cause offense using a carriage service, which is just a fancy legal term that basically covers all our modern electronic communication like phones and the internet. And makes it so that we're not allowed to harass or cause harm to other people. So there is a law against it. So the fact that the police is like, it's not a criminal offense is complete bullshit. It's like they don't even know their own laws.
Wow, that's I don't know what else to say other than that's a shame. Like I bet you it's just a classic case of like the police having this girl come in and him probably just being like, this is annoying that you're coming in here to talk to me. Like, you're probably flirting with guys online, blah, blah, blah. Like, who knows? Like, just like making assumptions about her and causing him to downplay it. Because, like, why else, if you know it's a crime, would you not take it seriously? Especially when the mother comes in and is trying to, like, advocate for her daughter. Like, obviously something's going on, right?
Yeah, and they have the messages to prove it. It's not just like word of mouth, you know?
Yeah.
So on one hand, you have this like legislation designed to tackle these very issues, but then there seems to be a disconnect on how those cases are handled on the ground, right?
Yeah, at ground level for sure.
Yeah, and it really makes you wonder about the training within our police and the resources, perhaps even the perception of stalking within the law enforcement. So the police did absolutely nothing to help Celeste. Now, over the next 6 months, Louis actually started stalking Celeste like in person. He'd parked his car outside her job and he would just wait for her. And it got so bad that her workplace actually had to start escorting her to her car every day. And she was absolutely terrified.
Yeah, now it's progressed, right?
Yep.
It just reminds me of what I was saying, was where people just feel that terror. Like, no place they go is off bounds. Like, they have to be fearful everywhere they go. God damn, Louis.
It's not right.
It's not right.
So by July 2020, this stalking had completely taken over Celeste's life. She was living in constant fear, as you said, Bev, terror. But she was a fighter. She tried to keep living her life. And that summer, she even started dating a coworker named Chris. They'd been friends for ages and finally took the plunge and began dating. Now, this was a super exciting time for Celeste, but the stalking was just always there, like a dark cloud hanging over everything. So eventually, Celeste and her mom decided enough was enough. And on July 1st of 2020, they went back to the police station. They laid everything out, not just the physical stalking, but all those nonstop messages she was still getting. This time, thankfully, a report was actually filed. And they made absolute sure it was the right one. And here's where things finally start to shift a little. Just 2 days later, on July 3rd, they went to court and got an interim personal safety intervention order, or a PSIO. This order is a big deal, Bev. It's designed to protect someone from physical and mental harm when the culprit is not part of the family, so Louis. And like these orders usually do, it comes with clear rules. Louis was explicitly told he couldn't have any contact with Celeste. No showing up in person, no online messages, no phone calls. And everyone hoped that this would kind of nip this in the bud.
Yeah, that it would be over sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, with these types of orders, like the protection orders, basically, it's just like, what is the consequence if he violates it? That's what I want to know, because so often there's not like a harsh consequence for it. And so they don't listen to the order, the protection order, and they get in contact with the person. And it's like at no detriment to themselves at all.
Right. Well, in this circumstance, if Louis was to break this order, he would be arrested. That was his consequence, right? So for a short time, this actually worked. And Celeste and her family felt that this PSIO might actually work and he would be out of their lives. And for a couple weeks, he was, but it was short-lived. But during that time, Celeste and Aggie were trying to make this PSIO permanent. And when Louis got that notification, he of course refused to agree to the terms, which meant a court hearing was set for March 9th of 2020. So now it was going to court because he didn't agree with it, which I don't think should be allowed. No one should be like, you know what? I don't accept those terms, so sorry. That's
bullshit.
Dumb.
I was like, why does he get a say?
Right.
Like, oh no, I don't actually want this person to have this order against me, so I'm not going to agree that I don't get to see her. Maybe I get to see her once a week. But I do have to say, that aside, what is scary about this situation right here is that you know he doesn't agree to it. You know that he is probably feeling even more rejected at this point. Mm-hmm. His anger that we felt was brewing from earlier has probably been magnified, and now we have a deadline.
March 9th.
Which scares me, because if he feels that threatened and that angry, like, he's like, oh, maybe I'm going to just, like, lash out before, you know, the court date, where things might become more official. Mm-hmm. You know?
Yeah,
like, I don't know. To me, that freaks me out.
Oh, for sure. It's like, in a lot of these cases, like, I listen to a lot of documentaries, podcasts about crime in general, and there's always a big catalyst, something like this or something else that pushes the stalker to do something more severe, right, Bev?
Yes. And that's exactly why this deadline is, like, concerning, to say the least.
Exactly. Now, what is kind of interesting is leading up to the March 9th deadline, as you say, Louis was interviewed by the police. And get this, he actually admitted to sending all those messages, but then he tried to completely deflect blame, saying it wasn't his fault because Celeste could have stopped reading them at any time. He even called it his therapeutic outlet, which is just actual bullshit. It's like, I'm going to bombard you with all these messages, but you didn't have to read them. I showed up at your job, but you didn't have to look at me. Like, get the fuck out of here, Louis, you dickhead.
Yeah.
Jesus. That pisses me off. Because it's like, he's putting it on her, and she's the victim. This guy's fucked.
Yeah, that's messed up.
He also claimed that after Celeste filed the PSIO, he was no longer interested in her and wouldn't be sending any more messages. But, Bevy, as you can imagine, that was a lie.
Obviously. Like, he already broke the protection order by messaging her after they first filed it, right? So.
Exactly.
He already lied to Celeste about the fact that he wouldn't contact her anymore. Like, this guy's full of it.
Yeah. Well, on August 15th, he sent Celeste another Instagram message. And it had a Google document attached to it. Now, Celeste was understandably confused, wondering if it was a scam or actually Louis. And she did the right thing, and she went straight to the police after work and showed them this attached message. They opened the document together, and it was 3.5 pages. It was a letter from Louis to Celeste. And this was a clear, undeniable breach of order. In that letter, he shamelessly begged her to drop the intervention order, laying on the guilt thick, claiming it was ruining his life and that he was facing 10 years in prison. And because of that, he wouldn't be able to care for his sick mother. Now, can you believe that manipulation right there, Bev?
No. I mean, I can, because...
Yeah.
But no, that's bullshit. Are you kidding me? I'm just worried it will play on poor Celeste's heartstrings, you know, her compassionate little heart.
Well, you know, it actually did.
No!
She started feeling really bad for him. She and Aggie even asked what it would look like they asked the police what it would look like if they dropped the charges. But the police told them plainly, if you drop those charges, we can't do anything to protect Celeste. And it was like that moment, Aggie truly saw through it all, and she realized it had been a massive manipulation tactic, and that Celeste needed protection now more than ever.
Yeah.
The letter now seemed less like a plea and more like a thinly veiled threat. Like, if you don't do this, this is what's going to happen to me, and who knows what else.
Yeah.
But what's stupid is these were all direct consequences of his own actions and choices, and I don't know if he just didn't see it or just wanted to get out of the consequences. I just don't know. Or if he's
well,
crazy.
you know what's funny is, like, all you have to do is, like, not message her and stay the fuck away. And even if she has this protection order or what have you, like, you'll be fine. You're not going to get arrested. Nothing's going to happen. But it's because you have the intent to break it. That's why you're sending this. Like, you know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. And here is the most infuriating part of this all. As I said before, the letter was a blatant breach of this order, meaning he should have been immediately arrested. But he wasn't. They did absolutely nothing to protect her in that moment. So it's like, she may as well have just dropped the charges anyways. Not really, but, like, you know what I'm saying? There was no protection no matter which direction she went in. Now, after the whole ordeal, Louis was interviewed again, and he said he'd stop reaching out. Which, I don't know if they're just taking his word for it or just like, let's get this over with. I don't know. Because they're not doing anything about it, right? It's like, you can't take his word.
Yeah, just, I don't know. Maybe he's really good at manipulating people and he comes across as trustworthy. Like, who knows?
Some people are like that.
It still doesn't make sense why he wasn't arrested, so.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Like, that's just a failure on the police completely.
For sure. And he said he would stop reaching out. And you know what? For a few weeks, Bev, again, he stopped reaching out. And at that moment, I could imagine Celeste probably felt an extreme amount of relief after everything she'd been going through. But I'm sure at the same time, she was looking over her shoulder at all moments throughout the day. But on November 15th, Celeste let her hair down and she went on a date with her boyfriend, Chris. The couple took this beautiful photo and Celeste ended up posting it on social media. And they looked adorable. Like, they looked very happy. So I can see why she did. Now, after the date was over, she went home and eventually went to bed. But it seems that photo, that moment of happiness, was a catalyst for Louis' obsession. Because shortly after, at 3:50 a.m. on November 16th, Louis scaled the fence to Celeste's backyard, shattered her bedroom window with a hammer, and entered her room. He then hopped on top of her, stabbed her 23 times as she slept, with the worst injury being a blow to her heart. You know, it's just so sickening how this whole situation played out, especially when you consider what Aggie went through the night that Celeste died. She woke up to the sound of breaking glass. Then she heard her daughter gasp. She went running down the hall screaming her name, Celeste, Celeste, only to find her room in utter chaos. There was glass everywhere, and Aggie grabbed her daughter and was pleading with her to stay with her and to breathe. In an interview, Aggie said she was completely confused about what had happened. She was woken up from a deep sleep and it was just chaos. And it wasn't until first responders arrived telling her it was a crime scene and that they had found a knife. That crushing realization hit her and she said, "Oh my God, he killed her." She knew exactly who did it, right? I think we all would in that moment. And the first responder asked if she knew who it was and she immediately said yes. Now, what's even crazier about this night is that just minutes after the attack at 3:57 a.m., Louis drove straight to the Mernda police station and simply walked in. He asked an officer to shoot him, and obviously when they didn't, he calmly told them that he'd killed Celeste Manno. So he confessed everything just minutes after he did it. What was the point, right?
Yeah. Like, obviously, yeah, there's just something going wrong in his head.
Yeah.
Like, he did it out of anger. He stabbed her 23 times. Like, holy shit.
Right? And that photo with another man.
Yeah. Just set him off. That's why there's just such a big issue with this, like, obsessive type behavior. Because it does seem like just something's not right in people's heads when they're like that. Like, they're just, like, obviously going through something mentally. And they probably need help, because if a picture can set you off to that level of someone you barely know, like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just think it's like something like a disorder or something. It has to be like that type of behavior.
Yeah. I think what makes it hard, I don't know about professionals, but I don't understand stalking at all and like that extreme level of obsession.
Yeah, me either.
I just don't get it. Like, I could understand getting a crush on someone and it feeling intense, but like that level of obsessiveness, don't get it.
That's why I think it just has to be something pathological, like a disorder of some sort, or like a dysfunction of the brain in some aspect, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because that's crazy.
I agree. So back at the scene, police found the hammer that Louis used to smash the window. As I said, they found the knife that ended Celeste's life. They even found his phone that he tried to ditch down the road. And police were also able to gather CCTV footage from a neighbor that showed Louis drive up, park his car. He then exits the vehicle, and he returns 2 minutes and 39 seconds later. Isn't that horrifying how quickly he actually executed this crime?
Yeah. I mean, he was very careless. I'll say that.
Yeah,
leaving,
I mean,
like,
they had
the
all the
murder
evidence.
weapon. But yeah, like, that's why it's just like a crime of passion. You have to know it, because it's like he was in and out. Like, whoo, 2 minutes.
I know.
Just over. That is like, whew. She had no chance.
No, she didn't.
She had no
Caught
chance.
her
That's
totally
so sad.
off guard. Now,
wow.
They obviously know that Louis did this crime. He confessed to it, and they had all the evidence. But the aftermath was long, and it was a drawn-out nightmare for Celeste's family. Now, Louis confessed, but immediately claimed he wasn't in his right mind, blaming the voices in his head, specifically a woman named Isha, who he said told him to murder Celeste. He even had the gall to blame the police for what he had done.
Like, saying that they didn't do enough or whatever? Like, they didn't arrest him at the time when he breached the order?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, that is a failing on their part for sure. But
yes,
they can't be responsible for you, like, savagely murdering someone. That's...
Yeah, like, you still made a choice and committed this volatile act, so it's on you, buddy.
I really despise when people don't take accountability for their shit. Like, that's just one sure way to never overcome anything in your entire life and to, like, have the same issues plague you over and over and over again. Like, you need to take accountability. And I'm not saying I'm perfect, because I'm sure as hell not. But, like, I do value that.
For sure.
And I think the more you do that, the more control you have over your own life, the more control you're going to be able to have over your emotions, you know, instead of letting outside circumstances just run you. And, like, in this situation, like, a picture online, like, threw him into a spiral of rage, you know, probably, like, making some story up in his head that, like, Celeste did this to piss him off, that she's doing this to, like, rub it in his face, you know, instead of just, like, taking accountability, like, I'm getting out of hand here. I need to leave this girl alone. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, she's blocked me many times for a reason.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
he's blaming everybody.
Oh, he's blaming everybody but himself, that's for sure, including the voices in his head.
Right. Which,
Madness.
Can we just call bullshit on that? I think that's just like a scapegoat right there.
I think so too, Bevy. Now, Celeste was laid to rest at the end of November of 2020, just days after she would have been 24. And this ceremony was incredibly emotional, and it was really raw for her family. And I just feel so bad that they even had to do that.
Yeah, I mean, 23 is really young too, hey?
Yeah.
It's just so sad. She was like a bright girl. She had a great future ahead of her. She was kind, compassionate, just seemed like was really going somewhere. And honestly, now that I'm a mom, Becky, I have to say, like, when you were reading, like, the mom running in and trying to help her daughter, like, even just thinking of it now, oh my God. Like, before, those types of situations would upset me. And, like, it obviously is, like, a huge moment. But now that I have a kid of my own and how much I love him, like, it just hits a little differently. Because, like, I don't know, it just does. And so it's just, like, sad to see that the mom, like, was, like, helpless to help her child, even though she was, like, down the hallway. Oh, yeah. And, like, just losing your child. Oh, God. Lord Almighty, every parent who ever has to go through that, my heart really goes out to you, because that, yeah. I couldn't imagine like a greater pain. I really couldn't imagine something worse.
Yeah. Aww. Well, you know what? Their grief really didn't end there. Obviously, grief lasts a lifetime when you lose a child. But over the next 3 years, Celeste's family endured grueling series of court hearings. Many focused on Louis's mental health and if he was fit to stand trial. And eventually, Bev, he was deemed mentally fit.
I'm just taking a moment to turn off my sound here. Where is it?
Your little phone tutor.
Oh, man. I can't find it, Becky. I don't even know where it is.
Can't you just, like, turn your volume down?
Off? Oh, maybe I could.
Your ringer off?
Oh, there it is. It's just different now. Okay, I got it.
It's a flick of a switch, Beverly.
They did all these updates now, so classic. Okay, go on.
Classic senior not knowing technology over here.
Yeah. That's right. I had a kid and now I'm that old woman.
That's right.
Wait, what does this button do? Oh, that microphone needs to be plugged in? What?
Definitely won't come to you for computer or technology help. That's for sure.
Coulson, help me. Coulson, I need your help. You're the new generation, baby.
He's probably laying there just being like, my God, my mom.
Yeah.
So after he was deemed mentally fit to stand trial, they set a date for the trial in May of 2023. But then, Bev, just a month before, Louis changed his plea from not guilty to guilty. So once again, this delayed the courts and Louis was rescheduled for a sentencing hearing. Now, this hearing was also delayed because Louis fired his attorney. He claimed that he felt pressure to plead guilty and he wanted to revoke his plea.
Yeah, it's funny. When he's making a big deal out of whether he pleads guilty or not, it's like, at the end of the day, dude, like, the evidence is overwhelming. Like, you're not going to get out of this one scot-free. Like, you're going to prison. Like, it just doesn't matter how it happens. Like, really.
Yeah, no matter which way you slice it, going to jail. Believe it or not. All right, so Bev's baby was getting a little fussy, and she had to jet, but it's all good. We're almost done. So, back to the case. Louis was eventually convinced to keep his guilty plea, but he was advised to get a new lawyer, leading to another delay. Now, the delays just kept piling up, but a hearing was finally set for January 29th, 2024. And yet again, right before it began, Louis decided he wanted to represent himself. He wanted to do that because he wanted an opportunity to cross-examine the testimony from the medical examiner, because he claimed that he himself only stabbed Celeste 2 times and the other 21 wounds were from the glass, and he wanted to prove that he, I guess, didn't do any overkill. I don't really know what his reasoning for that was. I think it's absolutely dumb. Now, instead of another delay, fortunately, the hearing went on. Now, the prosecution pushed for a life sentence, arguing Louis planned the murder and showed no remorse for what he had done. Now, the defense, obviously sought a lighter sentence, citing his supposed mental impairment. However, psychiatrists consistently found he was faking symptoms of psychosis during evaluations. But he was diagnosed with intense personality, major depressive, and body dysmorphic disorders. The prosecution argued these disorders didn't excuse his actions and actually increased his risk of re-offending. The professionals deemed him an extremely high risk who couldn't be rehabilitated. They even believed he posed a risk to female officers in prison. To show how much of a risk Louis was, they used his own actions against him. He had looked up Celeste's address online. He had found the floor plan to locate her room, so that when he went to go kill her, he knew exactly where he was going. They argued that a man who could figure this all out over time was not just suffering a break in reality. They explained that the photo of Celeste and Chris seemed to be the final trigger, and that if she hadn't even posted that photo, it was just a matter of time before he did something radical. What really shows Louis' depravity was in the hearing when he cross-examined the medical examiner, forcing Celeste's family to go through each wound in agonizing detail. Now, as you can imagine, Celeste's family found this completely unbearable and eventually got up and left the courtroom. Now, just minutes later, someone came out to say that he was done, and it was really clear that he was just putting on a show, making the family suffer. And once his audience was gone, that's when his questioning ended. Like, how evil and maniacal can you be to do that to someone's family? You know, most people plead guilty so that people don't have to hear the crazy details. But not Louis. He wanted them to hear it all. Now, adding insult to injury, when it came time for Celeste's family's victim impact statement, the family was severely limited. They had to submit what they had prepared for approval, and only 30 minutes before the hearing, their statements were returned with nearly half of what they wanted to say crossed out. And so they had barely any time to prepare what they had to adjust. Now, this really upset me, for the family. Could you imagine your loved one being taken from you in such a graphic way and then not being able to tell them what you really want to say or how you feel and how their actions impacted you? That would be so frustrating. And I don't know if this is a regular thing that happens or if the judge was being just an absolute knob in this scenario. I don't really know. I could understand if someone's language was, highly offensive for the courts. But someone who kills someone should have to listen to everything that their family, the victim's family, wants to say. And you know what? that's exactly what Celeste's brother Alessandro did. He bravely went off script, speaking from his heart. And he said the things that he wasn't supposed to say. And the judge was furious. But, what's she going to do? Not a whole lot. So after all was said and done, Judge Jane Dixon, boo, her, sentenced Luis Seco to only 36 years in prison, with the possibility of parole after 30. Now, this sentencing is highly controversial. Everyone truly thought he was going to get life in prison, but he didn't. And apparently, the judge had later mentioned that even if Luis had gone to trial, she only would have given him a maximum of 40 years. So that tells me that she was never, ever considering a life sentence, which blows my mind. Just because someone died and it was like the crime was so brutal, how could that not be a consideration? And it really makes you wonder how such a terrible criminal and heartless individual could be shown any mercy. So after sentencing, Aggie and her family were compelled to work every day pushing for stricter laws for stalkers and stronger consequences for people who breached their protection orders. Aggie strongly advocates for ankle monitors for those with protection orders or who have been arrested for stalking, believing this could have alerted them to Luis's proximity and possibly prevented Celeste's death. Aggie's dedication led to a 200-page document for the Victorian Law Reform Commission on stalking, with suggestions for better police training, victim resources, and improved laws. Sadly, none of these recommendations have been implemented, which is horseshit. Can you imagine having a 200-page document with probably hundreds of suggestions and recommendations, and not a single one gets implemented? It makes me sick, because if there were stricter laws and more resources for victims in these circumstances, Celeste may not have been dead. Other men and women who have suffered in the same way would not be dead as well. And the fact that this is just swept under the rug like nothing ever happened is horseshit. The police are there to protect us, and they're not doing that in this circumstance. And it truly feels like a matter of time before this happens to another person struggling with a stalker. And I just don't understand why the justice system repeatedly fails victims when time and time again stalkers prove so dangerous. Aggie also believes that there should be a mandatory life sentence for all murderers around the world, which, girl, preach, because all murderers should get life sentences. Now, Celeste's family and the prosecution spoke about an appeal to change the 36-year sentence into a life sentence, but the prosecution just wouldn't pursue it. Apparently, in the past, they had a lack of success. Now, some might think that 36 years is a long-ass time to be in prison, which it is, but it's the principle behind it. He took someone's life in a savage way, and on top of that, for a year prior, had tormented her. And so the principle is that a life sentence would be sufficient. So unfortunately, Celeste and her family were really let down by the legal and justice system. To be quite frank, they kind of failed Celeste. And right from the start, she was not protected like she should have been. Her family was silenced, and there were no systemic changes. And ultimately, this whole situation is a profound failure. Now, to this day, Aggie regularly speaks out about her daughter and victims of stalking, and she only refers to Louis as a monster. Now, that was a word he had used to describe himself in one of the messages to Celeste. Aggie uses this word, monster, to give strength to her words, and after all, he truly is a monster. So, I hope that Louis poses enough of a threat after 30 to 60 years that they will not let him out on parole, because this man cannot be rehabilitated. He should be there for life to protect the community. So with that being said, this was the sad and super frustrating case of Celeste Manno, and I hope that all of Aggie's efforts eventually pay off and that there is a huge change within the justice system because of this. Anyways, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.
And just your weekly reminder to download our weekly episodes, follow us on Spotify or Apple Music or whatever streaming platform you listen to us on, and give us a follow on our social medias. You can find us at Luminol on the Wall. Can't wait till next week.